Hey viewers, this is Rizwan Syed from nrinews24x7.com, and we all welcome you here today for having a conversation with Dr. Sampat Shivangi. Dr. Sampat is currently on board as a member for mental health in President Trump's administration. He is a past president of API. He is also the recipient of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas Award from our past president, President Pranab Mukherjee, and also from our Prime Minister Modi. Uh, Dr. Sampat Shivangi is one of the few Indians who has a street to his name, and that's in Jackson. So, Dr. Sampat Shivangi, welcome to this conversation. And I really appreciate that you've taken the time out to be here with us and to have this conversation during this very uncertain times. First of all, I would like to wish you good health and safety during this pandemic. And I hope that, we all stay safe in the times ahead. So, Doctor, to begin this conversation, it's election time in the US. Though it's pandemic, it's still an election time, and the fever is always there. So, what is the sentiment of the Indian American community for this upcoming US elections?
First of all, let me thank you and your organization for inviting me to be the guest. It's a great honor, and I'm very happy about it. Of course, the pandemic, as you mentioned, had changed the whole entire uh, think about U.S. elections. It has really transformed in one way or other into big chaotic conditions ever seen in the history of 200 plus years of American democracy, because we don't know who is going to be the president of the country, because first time the postal ballots have been chosen to be started a month before the actual election date, which is November 3. And the just like in India, it takes a while to get the results. It's possible that the election results may not be declared on November 3rd, because the postal ballots, which are in millions and millions, have to be counted manually, and that may take a few days or weeks before the final election results come in, and nobody's going to accept the results until that happens. It may go to Supreme Court, because either party can dispute the outcome and the validity of the votes. I think we'll have to wait and watch who is going to be the next president with all these conditions. And this is an important aspect, especially for Indian Americans, you wanted to ask, because suddenly Indian Americans have become a factor in the US elections. The whole population may be around 2 million, and the voting eligibility for Indian Americans is about 1.2 million, which makes equivalent to 1% or 1.2% of the entire electoral votes of America. And why suddenly this has taken place? Because one thing, as you have heard, Indian Americans have become the wealthiest community or society in the United States, the highest per capita income. Any other community, they even have beat the Jewish community, who were the top. And education-wise, we are the highest educated class of US citizens. And I think that makes a difference, because we know what we are doing because of the educational priority we give it to our family and to children. I think that has made a tremendous difference. And we also started contributing to the political system in the country. Earlier, we were hesitant to give any political donations. And now the Indians have money. They want looking for power now. The money brings power, and power brings changes in the political system. So I think Indian Americans will have those changes made in the coming election. President Trump uh, was the first one to realize that. That's why he went to Houston to greet Prime Minister Modi in a Howdy Modi event. And I think it was the biggest crowd ever in the US India relations. We had about between 50 to 65,000 uh, Indian Americans in that stadium. Of course, there may be many non-citizens also, those who are H1 visa and waiting for their green card. But still, the sentiment was pro-Trump and pro-Modi. Even Modi declared that ab ki baar Trump sarkar, that means next election we should vote for Trump. So with that mandate, I think especially Gujarati community is big in number in the US, and they very much like Modi ji, and of course I do. And so I think the sentiments are towards Trump as of now. But since Kamala Harris came into picture, who never claimed she's Indian American, and she says her mother is Indian. And in legal terms, when your parents are one of the Indian Americans, they naturally become Indian American, but she does not want to claim because she has a vote bank in her mind. Because if she says she's Indian American, the black votes, which are about 15%, maybe if you take Caribbean African Americans, it will be 19 to 21%. Why would she give 21% of the votes to collect 1% of the Indian American votes? So she never claimed she is an Indian American, or she says she has Indian heritage. That she mostly says South Asian heritage because her mom was from Chennai, and of course they were brought up father's religion. Mr. Harris was a belonged to Christian community. It does not matter what religion you belong, but she was raised in that environment. So naturally, she feels more African American, and also it suits her vote bank. As I said before, 21% to 22% votes. If she says, even in last debate, she herself declared as a black woman, and I'm not. We are all friendly with African Americans as well as white Americans. It doesn't make any difference, but her mind is on uh, getting a vote bank. So that is the thing. And what bothered me about Kamala Harris and Biden, they are soft on China, soft on Pakistan, and which Indians really feel very touchy about it, especially uh, China is almost encroaching India in all sides, on the borders or on the oceans. And that's why Trump and Secretary of Defense Pompeo has formed this Indo-Pacific Quad, where US, Australia, Japan, and India are partners. And they want to make it a six nation eventually, which includes Vietnam and South Korea. So thinking in those terms, I think we are friends for a long time. And I think it's a big deterrent that Trump is the president and Republican Party is running the country, because the moment Biden comes in, Kamala Harris come in, they are weak on China policy, and they want to appease China at the cost of India. And as you know, the US ships are already in the Malabar coast. They are having exercise, and that's a big deterrent to China to enter into Indian waters. And also Trump has promised that he will stand by India against Chinese aggression in the coming months or years. We don't know. I think what I read in most of the newspapers, that China is waiting so Biden can win and they can, start cross-border intrusions in India and try to big issue out of it. President Xi is, he has 8 or 9 neighbors, and he has issue with every neighbor of China. And he's looking to muster his power, want to become an Asian giant, which they are. I mean, even today, they are the second most economically powerful country next to USA. We are not disputing that, but they were disputing about their aggressive behavior towards neighbors. I think all their Chinese neighbors, my feeling is that Taiwan will be the first prey for when it, we should not let it happen. We are friends with Taiwan and we should recognize Taiwan. I am not an expert in foreign affairs, but as a ex-Indian Indian or Indian American, we feel that India should recognize Taiwan as an independent nation. I think that will deter China for its aggressive behavior.
Well, that's a good piece of information for everyone. And well, let the best person win. That's what I would say, staying apolitical and neutral at this time. Now, going ahead on this, Doctor, what do you feel about the bilateral relations between US and India? How have they progressed during President Trump's times? And what is the future that you see over there? What kind of collaborations can come up if we assume that President Trump is to continue as president?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, of course, President Trump attended the Howdy Modi event in Houston, which was followed up by his visit to Ahmedabad, India, and to New Delhi. I think he solidified the relation between India and US, and he said he will stand by India anytime. So that itself is a big step forward for US-India relations. I think he has agreed. I don't think we had any controversial discussions in his 2-day stay in India. It was very positive, and he will continue to support India. I know we had some trouble with trade relations between India and US, and the most favored nation was withdrawn, which really shouldn't have been done. But in politics, things will not go smoothly all the way. But I think that can be rectified. He has agreed to, sit down on the missile delivery from Russia to India. There was earlier he was saying that he doesn't like India going ahead with getting the Russian missile system, which is very important to India because of the overtures of China and Pakistan, and Nepal has joined China, and so we don't have a very friendly neighborhood for India, except maybe Afghanistan. But Taliban is also looking to see how to counter India's dominance in Afghanistan. Even though we have friendliest ties with Afghanistan, but with Pakistan, provoking, Taliban. So we have all across northern part of India, China, Nepal, Pakistan, Afghanistan are all not in much favor of India. And so also I'm told Pakistan is trying to be friendly with Bangladesh. There was discussion between the Prime Minister of Pakistan and Bangladesh. Of course, Bangladesh, we think they are very friendly to India, but who knows what would be political future depending upon somehow I feel government of India should have better relations with our neighbors. I think we have not done very well in foreign policy. Why? All our neighbors are not so friendly with India, and including Nepal, which is supposed to be, friendliest neighbor. But of course, now they have communist rule in Nepal. That maybe China, they're much closer to China that maybe but people of Nepal are friendly, because I have a lot of friends in the US who are Nepalese. We never think that we think they are part of our community. So with that view, of course, President Trump has to mend some ways to have better relations with India. But I think at least on defense treaty, he has promised to stand by India in Ladakh in China's aggression against India. I think they are providing sophisticated defense equipment to India. Of course, it may not be in other areas. Cooperation has to be. I think it is a mutual trade. It's not one-way trade. So India has to mend his earlier stance towards US, and so some of the exported items that sends from India to US have highest tariffs India has put on US goods also. So I think it's both the ways, it goes both the ways. I think this can be discussion with the foreign ministers and the prime minister and Trump, they can come across. And when the hydroxychloroquine issue came, Modi ji sent a plane load of hydroxychloroquine in a day to US, and that has quietened President Trump, which he took them as one of the form of treatments. We don't know how good it is, but I think we can continue to have. I was telling you the Quad, like Indo-Pacific Quad. I think that is the biggest contribution of Trump administration to India. To provide make prominence India's prominence in the world scenario, because he did not go and support China, supported India, and I think that's a good neighborly warning to the nations which are trying to enclave, like China is going to Sri Lanka, buying ports, and they are trying to sweep into Maldives. Wherever the Indian neighborhood is there, wherever Indian interests are there, China is trying to poke their nose into those nations. I think only bulwark is US, and US help to India will be greatly appreciated. As I told you, China is waiting. If Biden wins by hook or crook, China will be a very aggressive country. I think we have to watch. Only for that reason, I feel we need to think, at least in Indian Americans, who is good for India. We're all Americans. We must think America first. But since we are still born, raised in India, we can't forget our motherland. We can't forget your mother. So that's sentiment I have, at least for me. I don't know about others, but I feel strongly that we should have a strong relation with Trump. We can mend some ways. So I don't know, he's even overly aggressive on some commerce and trade issues. I think we have to soften it and move forward with the better relations.
Yeah, I think let's hope that the new normal gets us a new diplomatic math also.
Yes, definitely. That's why, I'm sure Mr. Jaishankar, who was a ICS qualification, sometimes I'm not sure these professional, they may be good as ambassadors. I don't know how good they are as a foreign minister. Some foreign ministers, you have to be tactical, you have to be decisive, you have to be, more thinking about the nation you represent, not the one office. So I hope he has learned a lesson in the last 2 years, and he'll move forward with the better relations with the US and India. And also, we have an issue with the Democratic Party. As I said, Kamala Harris, Biden, they interfered in 370 and CAA. I know we may not agree on everything was done, but this is India is a sovereign nation. It has been these issues, both CAA and 370, have been approved by both houses of parliament. President has signed as a law, and why any other nation or any other national leader like Biden, Kamala Harris, poking their nose into Indian sovereign decisions, especially on 370 or CAA. We may not agree on everything that's been done, but they are the rules of the nation. We need to abide by that. India never questions what US has done in their all these 200 years of history, how many things are wrong or right, So I don't think Kamala Harris, and of course, there may be some errors in the human rights in Kashmir, but, we can discuss those and try to improve and try to mend some ways if there are any errors or mistakes in Kashmir. Uh, I think that we can discuss other than trying to see. The other thing I was mentioning about why Trump and Pompeo helped India, if when China took 370 and CAA to the United Nations Security Council, and they just went there, but nothing happened. Why? Because the United States, with the help of England and France, they stopped that amendment or the discussion in the United Nations Security Council. So India should be thankful to these nations. But for them, it would have been a good, big diplomatic issue if it had gone to Security Council and somehow China, Pakistan got it passed in the United Nations. India would be looking very foolish for having done those two things. But I think so. We have to be thankful to Western nations, including Russia. They all stood by India, and they saved India from embarrassment all over the world. If we had gone to Security Council discussion, and so many things would open a can of worms, and it would have been very difficult proposition for India. I feel India should rectify its foreign policy, try to be friendly with Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal, and Afghanistan as well. I think we have to mend our way. We can just, of course, Pakistan was culprit. They went after they killed about 60 soldiers with the terrorists. They haven't stopped it. Nothing has stopped in spite of all the things. Other than going, how many enemies can you have? You have China is waiting and Pakistan, they join. Will have a very bad effect on India, and because both the northern borders very hard to protect and save. I think we have to mend our ways. If we take some things through diplomatic way, Vajpayee tried to do it. He went to Pakistan, tried to be friend with Pakistan, but then nothing happened. So that's why Modi ji may not want to go that route. But as a patriotic Indian, I think we should mend our ways with our neighbors.
And that's a very good thought. I hope the Indian government will listen to this and have some plan for it.
Thank you so
Diwali
much.
coming in very recently now. So I think on the footsteps of Diwali, India can have a new plan for their neighbors.
Absolutely. I welcome it. I welcome it. I think,
right.
Modi ji, he tried. When Nawab Sharif was the prime minister, he went to his daughter's wedding all the way from Afghanistan to Pakistan. He was his guest. But there was no reciprocation from Pakistan. And the leadership changed. And Imran Khan, because he's a puppet of Pakistani army, and I don't think he has much voice. He's not his own man, so he's being controlled by somebody else. So that may be one of the reasons why he's not forthcoming to talk to India. I think we have to look, best interest of Southeast Asia. I think we are part of it. I think there is no way you have created our neighbor, and we have to live peacefully for next hundreds of years. So we look forward to that, rather than having a war every step of the way.